Epic Gaming Night is sponsored by Analog Gamer. Check out analoggamer.com for epic board gaming apparel.
Have you ever bought a board game when your spouse said no? Have you ever won a game on an insane dice roll? Have you ever killed a dragon using only chopsticks? Do you text your friends to distract them from your current moves? Can you finish off a pizza in between your second and third turn? Can you ride a panda across the plains of Dewey? Do you have what it takes to stop an evil wizard from destroying your village? Do you tell your friends to call you Dungeon Master? Can you muster the strength to play one more game after 2 a.m.? Can you be the chosen one all the way up to bedtime? Have you ever dared to say no and pick your best friend's favorite character anyway? Have you ever randomly shouted nonsense because you thought it would be funny, and it wasn't? Well, we haven't done most of those things either, but we are willing to try. Join us as we explore the world of board gaming and all the crazy things that come with it. Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast.
Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast about tabletop games, but mostly board games. I'm your host, Roy Canada, and with you as always is Matt.
Hello.
And Rob.
Hey.
Awesome. So how you guys doing today?
It could have been awesome if somebody did what they're supposed to do.
But there's not a guest on, man.
It doesn't matter. You started that.
Am I gonna have to be like,
that's our
hey,
thing.
this is your
He's
guest?
like, hey, I'm Roy Canada, and with me as always is Matt. Hey, Rob. Hey. Come on, Matt.
Sometimes you gotta change it up. You know. You should just
Not
learn
till
to say.
Not till episode 100.
You should learn greetings in like a bunch of different languages, Matt, and just say it in all the different languages. So that way our international guests will feel like they're a part, like they have a place. Like they're like, oh, this week they said my language. That's amazing. Because they have to listen to us talking our lame language all the time. So I mean, we should help those guys out.
Yeah,
Translate it for them.
We're really missing out on our international crowd right now. That's why our numbers are down. We only speak English.
It's such an uncommon language.
All those Kazakhstani board game players out there.
Yeah.
Dude,
forget the fact that most
surprised.
Europeans speak multiple languages. Yeah,
you'd be surprised. Like, I'm pretty sure like half of our Instagram is on the other side of the world, which is awesome.
That's fun.
I just go to bed and wake up with lots of comments. It's awesome.
We're famous.
Board games are awesome all over the world.
Yes, we are, Matt.
So tonight, our episode topic is going to be puzzles and deduction in games. But before we get into that, let's talk about what we've been playing. Rob.
I have been playing Ashes, Battle of the Phoenixborn. I'm addicted. It's not healthy. It's an amazing game. Isaac Vega, yes. I'm not going to name any names, but if you're on the Ashes online Facebook page, you probably saw my throwdown that I put on there. I challenged somebody who's a big fan of Ashes, to say the least, and I beat him. And so now, like, my head's super big. Now I'm like, Ashes! Like, everyone bow. But then my friend last night beat me with my deck that I thought was unbeatable, and it's not, so I'm sad. So my dining room table right now is... Oh, actually, I had to clean it up because of my daughter, but it was covered in cards. I'm building another deck. Ashes is a collectible card game where it's basically Highlander with dice and cards. There can only be one, and the whole goal is to defeat all of the other Phoenixborn, to collect their ashes so you can become the one ultimate Phoenixborn. It's a fantastic game. I talked about it before on the podcast, so I won't stay on it too long, but it's addicting. It is my new crack. I have actually skipped work to go play a game during the day.
Shh. Hopefully your boss doesn't listen to the podcast.
She doesn't. I know that for a fact. And so, but I absolutely love the game.
So you've basically had this game for a whole month now because we got it at Gen Con. So is
Yes.
there anything like you've unlocked for the game, or what do you think of that about the game like a month later?
Um, I think what I love most about the game now is actually the deck building aspect. I love the game for the fact that, like, if you guys were to play, they have each different Phoenix Born that comes with the game has a pre-built deck. So you can build your own deck and go from there and just and try something that way. Or for people that have had the game a little bit longer, you can see different combos, and if the right dice and the right cards work with the right player, you can do your own deck building. I really, really do love that. I also really love that I haven't eliminated any of the Phoenix Born except for maybe one from Phoenix Born that I want to play with. You guys know, like after you play like Magic, let's
Yeah,
just say,
yeah.
for example, after a while you're like, all right, I'm just going to do like this green blue deck, or I'm going to do like a mono red aggro deck. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I have my cards that I like to play with, but all of the other Phoenix Born and all the other abilities are really cool. Like, I still haven't gotten out of that newness stage to where I'm only playing this deck, you
Nice.
know, and so that's nice. So the replay ability is there, and yeah, I haven't unlocked any killer combo. Oh, I thought I did, especially when I beat that guy online, and I beat him bad, guys. I beat him so bad. It was like it was really rough, and I was expecting to lose. I was expecting a challenge, even though I was talking smack, just because like this guy is anyway. He's real big with ashes, and so I'm not trying to put anything out there. And I just destroyed him. Oh, if you guys would have, I probably would have danced. Like,
So
anyway, it was amazing.
so for anybody who actually plays Ashes out there, what's your current favorite Phoenix Born?
Ooh, Airedale. God, she is so amazing.
What's her ability?
Airedale has an ability where, for a side action, you can play one leaf dice, which is not your basic dice, but your
The middle
mid-level
one?
dice.
Yeah.
And you can play one leaf, and it does 2 damage to any target unit. But that's
Sounds
not what I
awesome.
love. That's not what I love about her. Her spell board is 4, which the spell board that's actually kind of weak for a spell board because there's
Right.
some Phoenix Born.
So
5 is really the sweet
the
spot.
spell board is the number of like spell cards. There's like sort of like enchantments if you play Magic or anything like that, but like these spells that constantly stay in play that you can trigger over and over again.
Yes.
And like having a spell board of 4 means that you can have 4 spells active at the same time.
Well, no, 4 different kinds. So
Right,
each
right, right, right.
spell
That's what I meant.
comes with about 3 each. Some only come with 2 or whatever. But so you can have more, but you can only have a combination of different types with this girl of 4. But what I love about her, what makes her just so amazing, is her battlefield. She can have 8 units on the battlefield.
That's pretty crazy.
The next closest person is the wolf guy. I think I can't remember his name, and he can have 6.
So
And so,
So
I
would you
just flood the
say
battle. That's
would
how
you
I kill you.
would you say she's like super aggro as like an archetype? Does she like
For-
flood the board and just ping all their people off and just go for face?
Yes and no, because a lot of her supporting cards aren't very aggro. You actually played with her at Gen Con, the girl with the blue Jaguars that you played against me with.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
remember that at Roy? Yeah.
Yes.
That's her. That's her. I turned her aggro with the different spells that I put down. I get out a lot of little guys.
Nice.
And I flood and I ping you, and once I attack you or something, if you use one of your guys to block, well, that guy's now exhausted, so now I'm going to have these extra 5 or 6 guys to be able to hit you while all of your people are exhausted. So
Chat saying that Cole smashes everybody.
Cole does not smash everybody. Cole's fun. He's a good guy. No, he's like 5 and 5. He has 5 spell board and he has 5 battlefield. But the problem with Cole is his health is only 15. That's his biggest problem. It's like if you're playing against somebody who's aggressive,
They're
Cole
gonna
will
smack
die.
you down before you can control the board.
Well, yeah, they'll smack you down pretty quickly. Like my goal every round, I try to do at least 3 to 4 damage minimum per round to your
So
Phoenix.
you're like red deck wins, like burn the
Yeah.
stuff and just face, like kill everything.
Yeah.
I like that archetype too. That's fun.
It is a lot of fun. The only issue that I'm running into with my archetype is my biggest unit has a lifespan of 2. The majority of my units have a lifespan of 1. And there's this one stupid card. I love it because it's in my deck, but it's called Miss Typhoon. And it deals 1 damage to all opponents, and you may draw a card. or all opponents' units.
Yeah.
And so my buddy who I was playing with, he was playing with Mayoni, and she has these Vipers, and the Vipers gain 1 point each for every enemy unit that's destroyed. So
seems like a good thing against your deck.
No, I mean it is, but it's frustrating, and that's what beat me. And so now I got it. She's the only one I've struggled with, and it's because that the Silver Snakes, that's who she uses. They have a life of 4, so it takes a lot to hit them, and you can block with your Phoenixborn. I could talk about this all night. I know this isn't a podcast about Ashes, but I absolutely love it, and I challenge anybody out there. If you're in chat and you think Cole's awesome, hit me up. Send me an invite. I'll smash you. I got a brand new webcam. I'll take you on. I ain't scared nobody. You don't know where I live.
Yeah, chat says that Cole won the Ashes Gen Con tournament, but like that was with people that just learned how to play the game.
Right?
So.
And did you see me at the Gen Con tournament? Was I there? I wasn't at the Gen Con tournament. Now, am I best friends with Isaac Vega? Possibly. Do I think Isaac is in love with Aradel? Yes, because if you really think about her abilities, it's just like stupid ridiculous. Like she's just amazing.
So that has been the Ashes podcast.
Right? Sorry. I love
Tune in next week.
One small segue from somebody who's only ever seen the box of Ashes. So you were saying the purpose is you take one Phoenixborn and go destroy another Phoenixborn and then take their ashes so that you can be the only one.
Yep.
What did they do with the ashes exactly? Did they eat them, rub them on themselves? Like,
actually they absorb
do they have
them.
a thing behind that?
It's probably like some sort of like
thing
magic.
about this game is because you summon things like three-eyed owls and blue jaguars, you're in a mystical world, and so there's a thing called magic in there, and they just magically absorb them. But another great thing about this game and Isaac is the backstory to the game. Like the whole first couple pages of the rulebook is a backstory explaining why all of this stuff is happening and why they're doing that. And so it gives you more of a sense of like of why you're doing it. You're not just fighting somebody as a sorcerer. You know what I'm saying? It's not like me just fighting you. Like it's got a really cool stuff. They put a lot of detail into why this is just like with Dead of Winter. There's detail into why you're now in this zombie apocalypse.
And if you go back and listen to like our podcast with Isaac, like when he was talking about this game before it was released, he was talking about how he's been brewing this story in his head. Like he wanted to make this about the story. So it's pretty awesome to like see it all come to life with the beautiful art. So,
but to answer your question, Matt, they grind it down really nice and fine like, and then they mix it in with a lotion and they just apply it.
Gotcha.
Just apply it.
That's why the art's so good, because they rub the Phoenixborn ashes.
Their skin. You would never know that they're mighty warriors because their hands are so soft, just with all the lotion.
And that's all I wanted to know.
All right.
They made it.
Yeah.
Awesome, Matt. It is your turn.
So I finally got to play that wonderful game, Spectre Ops.
Boom.
Yay! It was good. I probably should be more excited considering everybody else is just like super hype about that game. But Spectre Ops is just a hidden movement game from Nazca Games where you have a certain number of hunters and then you have an agent who's running around trying to siphon off some data stores in this really neat looking board. But the thing I like about it because we played Letters from Whitechapel, and I like it better than Letters from Whitechapel because everybody's got cool stuff that they can do, and it's not just like, oh, look, Jack the Ripper's a magician now. Perfect. Yeah. Bye. And it's like, so the agent can do some stuff, but then also each individual character has their own different things that they can do. And so it makes the game kind of unique and interesting in that the playthroughs aren't necessarily going to be the same. And they're not going to be the same from a mechanic standpoint because you can pick different things. Because I know you guys were talking about everybody who's going to pick to be an agent, they typically pick, what is it, Blue Jay? The girl who can like take the data stores a couple of spaces away. And then the guy we played with, Ryan, picked Cobra, who just straight up stuns people when they land
I
on
felt
him.
like he used that ability so well. I mean, just because we were on him, like it came into effect all the time.
Yeah. Especially like the first half of the game, everybody was, I say everybody. Me and Ryan were trying to like get our feel for like what's going on and like all that stuff. And then the latter half of the game it started to pick up, and we were like, okay, well we know what this is and what that is, and we can start doing this. It was good. I don't really have too much to say about it. It's a fun game, especially if you like hidden movement games or games where you have to kind of sit down and math out exactly what's going on, and you got to kind of get in your opponent's head to figure out where they're going or what they're doing, or what might be the different thought processes behind all this stuff. So,
do you think it was too easy?
That game, yeah, a little bit.
I think maybe if Roy had been maybe the agent, just because
it would have been fair.
You and Ryan had never played before. Because I got to play half of the game with you guys, and we found Ryan like on turn 3, and you should never be able to find somebody on turn 3, and he was still by the entrance. It's like, hey guys, I start right here. Hold on. It's like he took baby steps.
That was my favorite thing. Was like we were sitting there, and Roy's like walking down the street, and he's like, man, I just don't want to go this way because I feel like he's already passed and everything's just kind of like, ugh. And he was just like, I don't want to do this, he's not over here. And then he just like looks down an alleyway and Ryan's just like, hi, and I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, and that normally doesn't happen because like a smart hunter will like hide in like the nooks and crannies and in the crevice ways, so it's really hard for them to find. And maybe he was trying to make a beeline, or maybe it was just being newer to the game, but it was just like I was walking and I'm like, oh, this will let me see a bunch of spaces in. And normally that's the last place you really want to look, because if you can see a bunch of spaces, most likely they're not going to go there, because like why would they stand in the middle of a place that you could see? But there it was, and then the attack started flying, and all the cards got wasted, and it was awesome.
The other thing I like about it is that last scene token, which is something that Letters from Whitechapel doesn't have, because it's like you essentially just go, hey, were you here? And they go, yeah, and then you go, okay, cool, and then you have to just keep a mental note that they were there. But like this, it has like a tangible marker that you can put down on the board and go, this is where you last saw me, and then from there you go, okay, well, what does that mean? So like right at the very end, Rob, after you had gone, Ryan was tucked away in the like far bottom corner of the map, and he moved out, and his last scene token looked like he was going to try and like run in between, he was running away from me and towards Roy, and it looked like he was going to cut back and meet your character. So I was like, cool, he's probably like in this little nook over here, so we move your character over. He wasn't there, and we were like, okay, cool. So we sat there for like a good 2 minutes trying to like figure out where he was. So I moved my character up thinking he might be just in a hallway somewhere trying to like double play us or something, and he wasn't. And then right at the very end we were like, wait, what if he just ran up and then ran back and just hid back in his same hole, so that I would move and then I would stop blocking his exit. And that was pretty much what happened, because Roy just like walked right up to him, and Ryan's like, oh no, and like stuns him and then like cuts out the side, and we were like, okay, cool.
One thing Ryan did do good though was like, even though he was like trapped in the corner, because we basically got him trapped in the corner of the map, but he did make sure to position his character in a way, because he had the character that could stun you if you in your turn adjacent to him. Like he has a chance to stun you, 50% chance, and if you land
directly... Is it adjacent or land directly on him?
If you land directly on him, he doesn't even have to roll. You just can't attack him. So like there's no free damage against this guy. You're always going to have to roll a dice against this guy. But if you're beside him, he gets to roll a die to see if he stuns you. So he has like this aura around him where you'll get attacked. So like we knew this, so we would always try to like find him but be like 2 spaces away, so that way we could roll the die and have more of a chance to hit him without like him getting to roll to stun us. So it was kind of like this weird like meta thing we were trying to do to like get in the right thing, but he was good at putting himself in a place where there's like no way we could stand 2 spaces away. Like we'd have to get stunned. I'm pretty sure like I got stunned like 4 or 5 times in that game.
Yeah, you
like,
got
your
stunned
character
a lot.
got stunned a lot. Well, I was the
You were pretty aggressive when I was there.
Yeah, I was.
Because you were the beast, you were the wolf guy, and you're able to move like 5 spaces.
And that's the like everybody else is like super good at like trying to find where he is. The beast's job is to hunt them down
Just to kill
and attack them, because like that's like his job. I don't know how you really play the game without him. He seems so crucial to me, just because that 5 movement you can catch up. Like everybody else is
my
like,
favorite hunter.
oh, he got away. We got to get in the car to catch up with him. But like with him, he's like, I'm moving one space further than you every turn. So it's pretty good. Pretty good stuff.
Absolutely my favorite hunter.
But yeah, I really enjoy the game, and I just really like the ease of it. Like, honestly, like, I can throw the game down and teach someone really quick how to play this game. Yeah. Where, like, Letters from Whitechapel was, like, so weird and, like, interesting on, like, how things worked. And, like, the pre-setup to actually, like, playing the game with moving these little pawns around. And then, like, the whole thing is, like, are you at this number? Are you at this number? Are you at this number? It's so much easier in Spectre Ops. Like, hey, are you clear? And the whole line of sight thing where when they run past you, it just makes sense. Like, if they ran past me, I saw them run past me because they moved in my line of sight. So it's pretty awesome. Like, I just like the fact that you get to attack them also. And Letters from Whitechapel, it's like, if you catch them, you win the game. So you have to hide the entire time. In this game, it's like you have to find them and then beat them into the ground repetitively to actually win the game.
It's good. It's balanced pretty well, I think.
What would you think about playing the agent side? Do you think you would see... I mean, I'm sure the game would be completely different for you because you haven't played one of these games being the hiding person.
Yeah. I think it'd be fun. I'd give it a go, for sure.
I'm crazy when I'm the agent. I look like I'm looking out all over the board, and I'll act like I'm marking something in this bottom corner, paranoid that people are watching my pen, but I'm really moving over here. I'm silly with it. I am. It's a lot of fun because I'm bad. If I'm the hunter, I'm looking at your face the whole time. What's he looking at? What's he looking at? Where's he looking? Why is he looking? So
I think I would like to play it just because from everything I've heard from you guys are like, yeah, man, Blue Jay's the best. But it's like when I was looking at it, the other two agents that weren't Blue Jay, to me were more interesting. Like, I think one of them was like orangutan, and the other one was like spider or something like that.
I mean, I'd like to try them all.
And I just think, for like, I guess the way I would prefer to play, I think those to me would be more interesting. But you know,
I feel like the orangutan, he's a character that has like a bunch of extra hit points. I think it'd be awesome to be him and just like in a 4-player game where you have the like full 8 hit points and then them like find you like near the edge of the door and you just keep running because like they can't kill you because you have too many hit points. Like they find you, but you're just trucking straight on through. Like that idea just seems awesome to me. It's like, oh, you hit me, so what? I'm still going towards the door. So
the other thing I thought was really cool is I looked at all of their like very particular special spells, or not spells, but items.
Special abilities.
Yeah, the abilities they get to use. And like, I think orangutans was pretty cool because if you ever get in that situation like Ryan was, where you're like just stuck, he has like a two square radius stun that he can use. So it just stuns everything in like a 2 square radius of him. So he can just be like, and just like, he essentially just ground pounds and then takes off, and it's like, that's amazing.
It is. I still think it's Blue Jay all the way with her hologram ability. Hey guys, I'm over here. No, I'm not. And then the ability to
that one is really
to complete an objective, not being directly adjacent to it. Because you guys know, whenever you saw his last scene token, you would count the spaces, right? 4 spaces, blah, blah, blah. Well, now, with that ability, you have to count like an additional 5, possible 6 spaces out all around. That's really annoying. That's really tough. So for me, it's got to be Blue Jay.
Nice. Well, that was Spectre Ops.
Yeah.
So for me, another game that we played on Friday night was Gosu, Goblin Supremacy. It is a tableau building game where you're using different levels of goblins to do all these different special abilities. There are 5 different like factions of goblins, which are very like unique in sort of the stuff they do. But it's this cool little game where you have a handful of cards and you're trying to figure out how to best utilize those and mess up your opponents while you're doing it. It's pretty interesting. So you have level 1 goblins, level 2 goblins, and level 3 goblins, and you're trying to have enough goblins in your tableau to win the great battle, which is the end of each round. So whoever has basically like the most of the different level goblins is going to win the great battle, but you have to try to do a bunch of things like kill off your opponent's goblins that they're setting up, and there's sort of like these sets that you have to have. So you can't build a level 2 if you don't have a level 1. You can't build a level 3 if you don't have a level 1 and 2 of the same faction. So you're trying to collect a bunch of the same faction and also diversify enough to where you can do a bunch of different factions, so you have a whole suite of abilities to do. But it's kind of an interesting and weird game to try to explain, but it's all about figuring out, it's like card management, trying to figure out the best card to play, because to play most of the cards you have to discard cards. So it's like, which cards do I keep, which cards do I get rid of? A lot of the same thing that's sort of like in Race for the Galaxy with that mechanic, where do I play this card or do I play this card? Do I discard this card or do I discard that card? What am I going to draw next? Because that will really determine on which path I should take for these things. And this card will give me card draw, and I can play this, which will let me combo off of his card over there. So you're building all these combos and setting up your tableau to have like a little goblin engine to win you the game. It's a very interesting game. I've had it for like quite a long time, but it was crazy. What do you think of this game, Matt? This was your first time playing it.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
It is weird. I like it though, because like I feel like there are a lot of games, like I feel like this could kind of be closely compared to like Dominion.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, you play things so that you can do things so that you can get the points and win the game. And a lot of those games, like when I played Dominion, I thought it especially suffered from it, where it's like it's one of those things where I very quickly lose interest in it. Mm-hmm. And then somebody's like, okay, so I take my turn, and then this card gives me this, and then that card gives me this, and now I'm drawing, and now I have this, and now I have a full hand of cards again, so I'm just going to keep going and going. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I really don't care what they're doing. This is taking way too long. I don't care to check that they're doing it correctly. They could be cheating for all I care. And it's just like, it gets very just monotonous. Whereas this game, the turns are very quick, so it's one of those things that it's like you could still be like, hey, I'm gonna do this, and then that'll allow this, and then that's just kind of it. So it only does this like one minor thing, and then everybody goes, oh, cool, look at that card, neat, okay, and then it just goes on to the next person's turn. So it keeps the flow going, as opposed to some of the other games in that like archetype where it just gets drowned in like, check out my sweet combo.
There can definitely be a lot of take that in this game, because there's a lot of stuff that's like, oh, destroy this free goblin from this guy over here, or oh, trap this goblin and flip it over so it doesn't work, or like maybe you try to kill off this one so that you can put it in the discard pile, so then you can play this guy to steal it for yourself, sort of thing. And you also have to pay attention to what abilities are on the table currently, because people can play certain cards to steal the abilities you have and use them for themselves. So I thought it was fun. There's a lot of like digging through the discard pile in this game. Like there was points where Matt just had the whole discard pile, which is almost the entire deck. Just like
I'm just like thumbing through it real quick.
Which one should I play? Okay, let me do this one. This one's the best one for me right now, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, Rob, have you heard of this game before? Have you seen it?
Nope, on all accounts.
Yeah, it's a little bit older at this point, so we're not afraid to talk about games that have been out for a while. But it's pretty interesting, and the artwork is amazing.
It is very good.
It's all these like cool little goblins and stuff. Like the box art, a lot of the art in the game looks just as cool, if not cooler, than the box art. So you have like your fire goblins and your alpha goblins and all sorts of different stuff, and it's a lot of fun.
And each card just kind of zooms in on a very particular and unique goblin. So
yeah,
while there might be multiple of the same type of goblins, there are a lot of the bigger ones that are like unique and have very interesting artwork and stuff with it. So
yeah, awesome. So that is Gosu Goblin Supremacy. So I guess we'll go ahead and get into our topic today.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. Let's do this.
All right.
Are you hype? Let's get hype.
I'm hype. I'm excited. What?
So our topic for today is puzzles and deduction. So puzzles and deduction in game are like when you're playing a game. The topic is going to be like when you're like trying to think out different things. Like when we were playing Spectre Ops, and it's like, oh, he can move 4 spaces, so these are the exact options he could do. Or when you're playing a game like Masquerade, where it's like, okay, well, he traded with him, and then he traded with this guy. So did he keep the card or not? And there's a certain percentage chance that he's got the card that I'm trying to get. He's got the king, and I'm going to try to trade with him to see if he has it or not. But should I call it out next time? Because I don't know exactly who I am. So all about like trying to puzzle those things out.
I totally forgot about that one. That's such a great example because that's really exactly, Masquerade.
And they also, in some other games, like Pandemic and stuff like that, it's all about trying to efficiently use your points to best solve where to go to eradicate diseases and stuff like that. Also, sort of like in Flashpoint Fire Rescue, it's a little bit more random, but like just being like, okay, we've all got our turns coming up. Where should we focus and what should we do? Working together as a team to try to puzzle this stuff out. What's a couple games that you guys can think of that implement the puzzles and deduction? Rob.
Well, one of my favorites that I like, and it's more maybe deduction, is I really love Sheriff of Nottingham. Mm-hmm. And here's where I get the puzzle aspect and the deduction aspect. When every single person says they have 4 apples, they all don't have 4 apples. You know, you really have to kind of deduct and kind of tell who's going for apples, who's lying, and different things like that. And then I love the puzzle aspect of that game of reading people, even though it's not like you're actually doing a puzzle. I really enjoy the whole reading people, and to me that's kind of a puzzle. You heard us talk about it last week. It's one of my favorite games ever. Mm-hmm. Mansions of Madness is a great game for puzzles and deduction, in the fact where you want to find the different rooms that have the different keys that allow you to open up the different things. But there are actual puzzles in the game. Like to open up certain doors, you have to complete puzzles. And so those are a couple of mine. And, of course, I've got a lot more that I could say, but I'm going to save a couple for you guys. So how about you, Matt?
Well, most of what I'm thinking about are just small, like party games, like One Night Ultimate Werewolf, like Cunning Folk is another one that's pretty much all about just social deduction, Spyfall, that sort of stuff.
I definitely
trying to think of any bigger games.
That's
but
one of
I feel
the things
like
that really hit me. Like the very first time I played One Night Ultimate Werewolf was like, hey man, you can actually like figure out, like know for a fact where the werewolves are. Like it was just weird to me. It's like, okay, so this guy was this thing, and then they swapped roles, and then he said this and looked at that guy, and if everybody's like kind of like knows who each other are, like you can figure out for a fact that guy's a werewolf, we should kill him, or this person's not a werewolf because this thing happened. So it's kind of cool.
The next time we play that game, I probably shouldn't say this, but the next time we play that game, I'm probably at some point just going to immediately, when we start deliberating, I'm just going to go, all right, I was the seer, Roy's the werewolf, let's just kill him. And just see what happens, even if I'm not the seer. Like, I just want to see how that works.
I'll take the one loss for the multitude of times that will happen again, and I'll be like, well, remember that one time Matt called me out, and it was just a straight up lie. I don't think you're the seer. I think we should kill you.
So would you say, Roy, you'll take that as an investment opportunity?
Yeah. I mean, the games are so short. They're like 10 minutes. Like, it'll be worth it to lose the one game just to be able to, like, use that later on.
So,
it's like, remember that time Matt went crazy?
That's right. Matt's word is worth absolutely nothing from then on.
Exactly. Yeah. So it just makes it great. So it's like...
I'd still believe him, though, every single round, just because it's you. If he said Hector, I may not believe it, but if he says Roy, I'd believe him.
Matt, were you playing the game that time, like, I was the seer, like, 5 times in a row?
Yep.
Like,
absolutely.
Literally, I was the seer 5 times in a row. Like, not lying, nothing.
Like, hey, guys,
and
he's
by...
the werewolf, and we'll kill him. Everything's cool. And next
game
time,
one, game one, we pretty much auto won the game. Game 2, they were kind of like, how are you the seer again? And, like, I didn't see a werewolf. But Game 3, like, I saw a werewolf again, and they just, like, didn't trust me. Like, Game 4, they're like, there's no way this guy's a seer. And I'm pretty sure they just killed me. They're like, there's no way this guy's a seer again.
Roy came right out with information. He was like, hey, guys, this is what happened. This is the truth and the fact. And we're like, just kill him right now.
That's what Hector and David do, though.
Right now.
Hector and David do the same thing. They just... Daniel, so sorry. Hector and Daniel do the same thing. Hector will come out just about every turn. I'm this, you're this, and you're that, and that's the werewolf. If you guys ever pay attention, it's Hector, not Roy.
Dude,
you can't trust Roy. If you're ever playing a game and Roy is an opponent, he's always the bad guy.
Here's my thing. If I'm ever playing a game and Hector and Danny are on a team together, I'm like, nah. This is gonna be rough.
They just got it, man.
Yeah, they're just on lock. I remember the one time that we played with was it some of the expansion characters where like the minion gets added, and it was like me and Roy were the werewolf, and everybody was like coming down. They're like, Roy's a werewolf, and I'm like, how do I salvage this? And then Hector was the minion, and I knew this because he was coming out real hard to defend Roy, and I was like, okay, cool. Hey guys, Hector might be the werewolf, and I was trying to convince everybody to vote for Hector because if the minion gets killed as opposed to a werewolf, the werewolf still win. And I'm like, okay, so if we can just murder Hector real quick, we might be able to pull this out. But it was slow going. I think we played with like 8 people that game. It was
it's so much fun.
Gets crazy.
Massive. How much does the base game? How many people does the base game support? Like
up to 10.
It supports up to 10, which it's like at a certain point, it's like you can't reach the little things in the middle anymore. So it's like you might as well play regular werewolf. AJ in chat says hashtag Slay Roy 2015.
Right?
Yeah, man.
That's right.
No, it's trending
Roy,
on Twitter right now.
You did that to yourself, man. You did that to yourself. Shadows over Camelot.
I'm
Dead
sorry that I'm good at games. I don't know what to tell you.
You're a great liar. That's what it is.
I like how
just won't
Rob
trust
was like,
you.
Dead of Winter. I was the evil person in Dead of Winter.
I know. He wants to kill me, even though it wasn't me.
If Roy,
you yelled at me and you told me to do stuff I didn't need to do. I'll never get over it.
Oh man. Dude, he did that when we were playing Battlestar Galactica too. Like I remember Ryan was sitting there and he was like, I don't know if I have any cards to contribute. And Roy's like, you were lying. You have yellow cards. Put them in. We need to survive. And Ryan's like, okay, man, I guess, whatever. And I was just like, man, this is getting intense.
And I remember when, like, because he was a Cylon, and he, like, actually did help us for that one. I was like, I literally just made the Cylon help us. Like, I forcefully made him help us. Like, I didn't believe it enough to throw him in the brig, but, like, I felt that he was a Cylon. I was like, dude, you need to do this right now. He's like, all right, I'll do it. I'm like, yes.
My favorite part of about that game was like I became a Cylon at the halfway point, and I was like, man, I don't know what to do, and I was like staring at my card for too long. So everybody's like, okay, pretty sure this guy's a Cylon. I was like, so what do you do if you're a toaster? And then everybody's like, no, let's throw him in the brig. And I was like, cool. So now whoever the other Cylon is knows me and knows that I am a Cylon, and we can just work this out. And then what Ryan did, AJ ended up giving him an extra action, and then Ryan's like, well, cool, I'm going to executive order him right on out of jail here, and I'm going to declare myself a Cylon and go on over to the mothership, and then I'll get to take my actual turn. And then after that it was my turn, and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, we got wrecked. Got wrecked.
That's such a fun game.
That was a guiding hand of fate there.
That's also really kind of like a puzzle game as well, though.
Yeah.
That is, because when you think about it, like, just the different tactics and the different things that you have to come up with to fight off the Cylon ships and everything like that, like, it turns into a puzzle. It may not be, connect the dots kind of a thing, but that's another great game that's totally worth being honest.
Also, like, the what's the amount of resources we need to spend to do this crisis? How much do we actually need to put forth? I mean, that's the same.
Or can we afford to jump now? Can all the different things that play into that game? It's a big game.
Yeah. Awesome.
So how about you, Roy?
Well, I've already said a few. I'll leave my favorite one for later. But yeah, just once again, like the pandemics, Spectre Ops, like we talked about, like me and Matt just sitting there staring at the board to solve the puzzle of where Ryan was, and just the fact that we could actually get there and like make it happen. Like Ryan, he's probably right here. We walk around the corner, there he was. It was just it was like immediate gratification for our like puzzle solving.
I just don't ever see Ryan and it's nothing against the guy. I think the guy's funny. I could just never see him as like a spy, because I really could see him like, let's say
he'd like dive across or like dogpile somebody.
He'd like walk in with like maybe a bag of Cheetos. For some reason, I see him just walking in like in like the middle of like a Russian like big secret meeting, just coming in like, oh hey guys, hold on, what are y'all doing here? Oh, I'm supposed to be checking out on you. Oh my bad, I'm gonna go stand over there.
Clearly speaking English in like the KGB office.
Right? Hey everybody, don't pay attention to me. You want a Cheeto? I could see him also offering Cheetos to the Russians.
That's awesome.
I was excited. I don't mean any offense, but I absolutely love the dude. But the dynamic he brings to games, I feel like, are phenomenal. If the game's not like too long, because we easily get distracted if the game becomes too long. Yeah, but I don't know. Like, do you have a gun?
He is a wild card.
I mean, that's one of the main reasons I'm like, Ryan, are you coming to game night? Because it's so much fun. Like,
yeah,
I don't know,
absolutely,
it's fun. It's a blast. Next question. So what do you like about puzzles in games, Matt?
So I like it because to me, puzzles are just math, and I like math, so I just get to do math.
You're weird.
Which is fun. Exactly. Like I'm playing Spectre Ops the whole time, and in my brain I'm like, oh cool, it's like I'm making like dragon curves or trying to like figure out fractals or something. Not that I can do those in my head, but it's something that's neat. That's like a math related thing that is visually similar, although not the same. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's something that to me is just interesting to like be able to sit down and look at something and then empirically go through the steps, figure out everything that you need to do, and then go, yep, guys, 2 + 2 does equal 4. He's right here. I'm a genius. Here we go. Like, it just, something about that is just like, so good. I can clearly see, like, if other people might not like it, like why they wouldn't, but I thoroughly enjoy it for math reasons. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah,
the nerdiest answer.
I think it's awesome. Like I really like the puzzles. And did you get to do any of those in Mansions of Madness, Matt?
Yeah,
with the shifting the stuff around.
Yeah, I didn't do any of the wiring puzzles, but I got to do one of the lock puzzles.
It's just really cool, like trying to like look at this thing and be like, all right, this is the number of moves I have. What's the most efficient way to do this? I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that in like engine building games, or like anything that has like sort of like cards that play on each other and stuff like that. It's like, these are the resources I have. What am I going to do with those? Almost every single board game has some sort of puzzle elements to it because it's a game, and most of these games are very puzzly. But it's just really fun to like try to put all the pieces together, and especially like once you succeed on that, or like come up with a really good combo in a game, or figure out the thing and everybody's like, yeah, you did it. It's just like really, really gratifying and awesome. But yeah. Rob, what do you think?
One of the things that I love most actually about puzzle games is the pressure. Mm-hmm. Because like if you don't do this in the amount of turns you have to do it, it really is going to set people back. Or if you don't do it in the amount of time that you have to do it, it could start to make you seem like you're the bad guy or something like that. I love pressure games. I love the idea of like me versus the world kind of a thing. And so let me, knock this one out for the team. So that's what I would probably say that I like the most about puzzle stuff is, can I solve this before you, kind of a thing. So, and then also it helps me figure out if people really know what they're doing or not. Like, okay, you have a puzzle you haven't done, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. So I know it's not nice or whatever, but I do feel better about myself. It's like, okay, you're done.
I was gonna say I like puzzle games. Like Roy, you brought up engine building games. I like puzzle games a lot better than engine building games, even though they have similar mechanics. Just because I feel like most of the time a well-designed puzzle game isn't necessarily going to get like drugged down by those like sort of things that you would typically get in an engine building game, where it's like, and now we wait for this guy to make a big circle.
Yeah.
That just endlessly feeds itself. Whereas, like, in a puzzle game, it's like, it has more story to it than an engine building game, and I think that lends itself very much to, just being able to play it and actually have a good time with it, as opposed to just sit there and then wait for all of the stuff to finally, after years of waiting, play out.
Nobody really likes, especially like in Magic and stuff like that, but like no one likes to see where someone's come off with their infinite combo or their perfect engine, where it's like, and now I exhaust this, and this gives me this resource, which I used to do this, and now I do that. Basically, like you were saying with Dominion, it's like, you're doing all these things. I don't know what's really going on. I don't really care. It's like, and I tap and I tap and I do this, and now I have unlimited mana, and now I use that to cast a fireball to burn everybody on the board to death. So
yeah, or it's like the same thing that some D&D players will do, where it's like, hey, and right now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna min-max this one fighter to where he can take a spear and then throw it really far, and then that spear will push that person like 3 squares, and then he's just never gonna get to me. And I'm like, well, that's neat and stuff, but I just have a dude who looks like a rock. I just like him because he looks cool, and like he's aesthetically pleasing, and like is easier to roleplay. Yeah. But some people, it's all about those numbers. And while I like the numbers aspect of puzzle games and a lot of other things like that, I feel like they're just, sometimes it gets a little overboard. Yeah, it's like too much.
Nice. Awesome. So we're gonna go into what are our favorite puzzle and deduction games, or games that use the puzzle and deductions mechanics. And probably one of my favorites, which is probably one of the highest on my list of favorites, is Rex. I really like the puzzly mechanics for the combat in that game. The whole thing of like, he has this many units, and I can tell him he can't use that weapon, and if he has this specific thing, that means he's going to have that, and so I need to use exactly these amount of units to be able to beat him with this weapon, so I can beat his leader. And it's like trying to math out what they have and all that stuff. And a lot of the different races can help give you information on what your opponent is doing or cause them to do something different. So it's pretty awesome in the way you can just know for a fact you're going to win this battle. Like Rob in the last turn of the game is like, I win this battle. Like, there's no way you can beat me. Like, this is what I have. No matter what you have, I win. So it's just kind of cool the way you can figure out the different stuff. And also, if you're trying to like play lean, be like, well, this is exactly the amount of guys I need to spend to do this. And it also makes it like a counterpoint when you do all that planning and it's like, traitor, and it just completely just throws the whole thing for a loop. So I think it's a lot of fun. You're welcome. Yeah.
So my favorite game, besides Mansion's Madness, I don't want to beat a dead horse. I love the game. It does have that stuff. But I'll throw this one in there, and I'll see if you guys agree. This is a lot of fun. Dixit. Yeah. I really like Dixit. It's a fun puzzle game because it's more than just deduction. Somebody puts out that picture, and you have to try to guess what picture or what's going on with that idea with however many words that they use to describe it. And then other people put out their picture and things like that as well. And it's a very beautiful game. The artwork in the game is amazing. And so I really, really enjoy Dixit. And it's also one of those games that you can play with just about anybody. You know, you can play with your serious game friends for a lighter note. And you can also play, like, it's a game I can play with my wife and some of her girlfriends that aren't into board games. And so I really, really, really like Dixit in just the way that it gets everybody involved, trying to figure it out at the same time.
There's a lot of puzzles in that game because you have the puzzle of looking at your hand when you're the storyteller, or even when you're not the storyteller yet, like which card should I save that would be an awesome thing to be able to like say something about. And then also like, okay, well they said that word. all right, now which one is going to make people think that
Or
word?
how can I relate that word to something? Is it blue, or are they just meaning blue like this, or is it blue because they're sad or something like that? Because you don't necessarily want to say sad. Yeah, there's a lot of mechanics and a lot of different things that go into it. It's a fun game. It really is. It's a fun, good game, and Dixit would have to be, besides Mansions of Madness, Dixit.
Nice.
How about you, Matt?
It's a good choice.
You're welcome, world.
Probably all of those games with social deduction things like One Night Ultimate Werewolf, because while I do enjoy games that in themselves like have puzzle mechanics to where you have to figure out the game, to me, after a while, that's going to become a bit kind of trite and played out. So I would rather be kind of put wit against another person, because, you know, unless I'm playing against somebody who has either no idea what they're doing or is just really, 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 really bad at the game and probably doesn't like it, it's always going to be interesting and varied, and stuff's always going to be happening and changing and stuff like that. So for me, it's probably those sort of games like One Night Ultimate Werewolf. Yeah. Or Spyfall, in a sense. I'm starting to come around to Spyfall. The more I think about it, I'm like,
game.
It's not a bad game. It's just every time I sit down, I go, ooh, social anxiety. Here we go. And then I'll get over that pretty quickly.
It's good for you, man. It's good for you. No, I'm just kidding.
I love Spyfall. The only thing that ruins that game for me is the people that I play with. And here's why. The mechanics of the game, the idea and the concept of the game are a lot of fun. But if you play with that one person that just wants to mess the game for you, they can really do it. Like that one person that wants to be silly, or that one person that doesn't know how to ask the right question. You make yourself look like the spy. You know, it's just like, hey, what are you doing here? Chilling. Like, you don't answer something like, anyway. But anyway, Spyfall. Sorry to interrupt. Spyfall's
unless you're at the Arctic, and then if you're chilling, it's because it's cold, and that's obviously where it is. I'm the spy, and y'all are at the Arctic place.
Right. But the point is, like, even when they're not the spy, and their answers are so vague.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
What do you think of the people here? Interesting. That could be anything. It's so anyway.
To be fair, though, to your credit, that question is also very general. So you either can give a general answer and leave it kind of ambiguous, or you can give a more specific answer and worry about giving away clues. So
sometimes you have to get questions. Fine line. Sometimes you have to get questions out of the way, so that way you can re-ask a different person. It's like, don't be asked. Let's do this so we can get some more information from this person that obviously doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yes.
So I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you can think about playing that game.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what are some cons to puzzly type games? Rob gets to start.
This is a con, but it's also not a con, because a lot of the puzzle type games that I have talked about have a lot of replayability, and I really can't. I try to figure out a couple that I want to put with this, but the thing that I don't like about puzzles is, well, Magic the Gathering. Once you figure out that combo, you just know what to do every time. Like once you know the pathway in the puzzle and you know how to do it, the game's kind of done. You know, it's not that excitement anymore of how do I do this or how do I do that. That's why I tend to like more social puzzle and social deduction games, because you're playing more the people than you're playing the necessary puzzle. But if you're playing a game that's like a generic puzzle, all right, I turned left last time, I go right, up, down, left, right, A, B, select, start, you figure it out. And so for me, that's a con, is the replayability on a generic puzzle game.
Yeah.
Are you okay, Roy? You gave me a look like you're disappointed.
No, I completely agree. I completely agree with that. One of the things that people say, like, about even like one of the most popular games out there, like Pandemic, they say this game is amazing when you first get it, but once you play it a certain number of times, like, you know what to do in all the situations, and you've basically solved the game almost.
Speaking of which, I don't know if you guys have seen it. I only just saw it today. But did you know that Matt
Pandemic Legacy?
Yeah.
I was about to say, it's so cute, Matt, when you like find a board game thing and try to tell me and Rob something.
I'm like super keyed up on the world and everything. I've got my stuff down, everything, and I'm just like I'm pretty sure they know, but like I saw that and I was like, that looks like it would be a lot of fun.
I'm so excited for the day you bring up a board game that that Roy and I have no idea what you're talking about. And it's like
I'll just
not
come
something
in one day
Asian,
with
not something like Two Dragons Kiss or something weird like that. I'm talking about like a generic, good, published here in the U.S.
Two
company
Dragons,
game.
Two Dragons Kiss, the renaming of Zero of the Seas.
You lose the game when the Two Dragons Kiss. That's how that game works.
Well, I know Matt's big into Asian stuff, or at least that's my impression of Matt. Last time we were playing games together, you're like, there's 2 symbols for the number 2 now. It's like, what? You're talking to AJ about that. But anyway,
oh yeah,
sorry.
no, we were. Never mind.
Yes, Pandemic Legacy. It looks amazing.
Yeah. Why does it have to be $70? Though?
And
there's 2 of them.
That one's like very interesting too, because it's gonna take like those people that feel like they've solved pandemic and stuff like that, and just like open up a whole new world. Because it's just going to change every single time you play. And that was what I was actually thinking. I was like, do you think like the group would want to play that? Do we want to play the same game like that many times?
Absolutely.
But,
do you listen to the Dice Tower podcast, or have you listened to theirs recently?
Yeah.
Because Z Garcia's Pandemic is his favorite game of all time. Mm-hmm. And Z Garcia, Tom, Sam, and I think one other person, it may be the little guy, Jason.
Yeah.
They're doing Pandemic. And out of their first 10 games, they're half and half. They've won 5 and they've lost 5. And for somebody like Z, who has like I think all the expansions to Pandemic and everything, like he knows the game, it's got to be kind of crazy if it's throwing those guys for a loop.
It's pretty interesting because like if you win the game, the basically the world thinks that okay, well we've solved this disease thing, and you have like less funding to keep going on. There's like currency and stuff in the game, but if you lose the game, it gives you more funding. So it's kind of like a catch-up mechanic against the game itself. Just a legacy cooperative game seems actually really awesome to me because I love cooperative games. So it just seems fun to experience a game together, and it's like this is what we did. So this is where we let this country fall to this disease. It's really sad, but now they're all zombies over there. I have just no clue what's in the game, but I could imagine something like that just turning around, and it's just makes it crazy because it's a legacy game. You know how legacy games are. You're like doing this stuff, it's all normal, and you open that one package and your mind is just blown. You're like, can they do that? Like what? Yeah. So I'm excited to see.
Sporadically turns into Gamma World real quick. Like people are like sprouting tentacles and like jumping around. You're like, oh okay.
No spoilers, but that would be freaking Risk Legacy.
But no, that was my little side interjection.
But yeah, awesome stuff.
So yeah, back to topics and things.
But yeah, for me, I feel like sometimes the puzzly thing can lead to a lot of analysis paralysis. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people can look at the puzzle and take like way too long on it or try to figure this thing out. And it's like, guys, just wait up. I got this. It's like right there on the edge. It's like, well, maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's right. Maybe we should do this. And sometimes like trying to solve those puzzles can slow the game down for everyone else like crazy, which kind of stinks.
Yeah.
Especially when you know the answer and you can't really help them out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, just turn that one thing and then move that to the left, but you can't say anything.
Well, part of
you're sitting there and like you're like, I know that he's on A7, but nobody's listening.
Nice.
That is also very annoying when like it is a co-op and your group doesn't listen to you and you do know the answers. Like, guys, no, he is on A7. No, you're Roy. We're not going to listen.
On the flip side of that, another thing that could be bad about these games is if it's a cooperative game or a game where there's teams with a lot of stuff, it can definitely lead to the alpha player syndrome where one person knows all the answers and they tell everybody else how to solve the puzzle, so they don't actually even get to play the game itself. That's a big thing with a lot of these puzzly type cooperative games is one person tells everybody how the best way to do it, and they're probably right about that being the best way because they've played the game 37 times. But at that point, they're pretty much just playing the game solo, and everyone else isn't really enjoying it. I know when we were playing Spectre Ops, like me and Rob at the beginning were like fussing to do all this stuff because Matt would just get his legs. But like once we got into the game, I was like, Matt, what do we want to do? Like I want to make sure like we're cooperating because like Matt saw tons of stuff that I didn't see. I'm like, that's good, man. Let's do this together. Like
because that was one of the things like. Not to rag on you guys, but when you first started, YouTube were just like all over it. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on, so I'm just going to talk to Ryan here for a little while, and then it slowly started to pace out a little bit better.
How dare you, sir?
Thanks for distracting him though. That was great.
Like at one point, I was just looking at him. I was just like pointing at squares. I was like, "You there?" And he's like, and I was like, "Okay."
But that's Ryan, and I bet he would tell you if he really was there. Are you there? Yeah, I bet he would say yes. Like, yeah, I'm right there.
Oh man, I love it.
I swear, he would walk down the middle of Moscow, just eating Cheetos, just chilling. Hey guys, taking pictures. That's not important, is it? Anyway,
do you guys have any stories you want to share about puzzle games, or maybe something epic that happened in one of these games?
I feel like I've mentioned a bunch of mine already, so I'm gonna take a pass on this one. But...
I feel like we tell so many stories out of this stuff all the time. Like we're such like we're so excited about the experience and the story of the game. We can't help but talk about all the stories that happen as the game.
That's what we do. Well, we'll ask a question and we'll go, yes. Now here's an example,
right?
And then we'll just like pull that in, and it's
But that's fun though.
It is very much so.
Do we count? Let me ask you this: do we count Pictionary as a puzzle game?
I don't know. I've never played it.
Telestrations is strictly better. No, I'm just kidding.
No, Telestrations is better. I was playing with a church group one time, and I'm loud, and that's actually one of the things I love about my church group because they're all not loud, and so when they play games with me, they're like, "Oh my gosh, Robert, you are so loud." But by the time we're done playing games, I have everybody yelling in a good way, but we're all yelling. No one's mad at each other. So anyway, we were playing Pictionary one time, and I had the pastor and his wife on my team, and he's not a very loud person. He's actually kind of a small guy. I love him to death, but I'm 6'4". He's like 5'5". He's like a small little man, and so my thing was, I think it was like Bill Clinton, and so I had to draw. I drew the state of Arkansas, and then I drew a woman, and I drew a little girl, and then I drew a question mark where he would be, and then I also drew the White House, and they were like, Bill Clinton! And I know that doesn't sound amazing, but when everybody exploded and we all kind of like ran around the room, because I think that won us the game, it was like, oh! And like when our little pastor like jumps up out of his seat and he's like, ah! And just everyone goes crazy. It was one of those like you had to experience, but it was a lot of fun. I'll never ever forget that, just because you see a little man jump out of his seat and just goes running around. It was a good time. Everybody did.
It's awesome when like
those quiet guys.
When like the puzzle all comes together, like the excitement, especially when you're on teams and stuff like that. That like when it gets solved, it's like yes, we did it. Like it happens. Like you beat the cooperative game, or you figured out their location and smashed them, or whatever it is. Or like in Masquerade, you figured out where the right card was, or in Love Letter, you accused the right thing and knocked them out of the game. There's so many different like rewards for solving the puzzles. It's awesome.
Well, I got Batman Love Letter. We need to play that.
Oh man, I love Love Letter. That's one of the deduction like puzzly type games I really like, because there's a lot of like which cards are in play.
We played Love Letter at Gen Con, right?
Yes, we played Love Letter.
I was half asleep. I remember playing game and Game of Thrones a game, and then I was in and out of consciousness for a while.
We played Love Letter, and we played Lost Legacy, and I think you did pretty good in those games. So half asleep, playing pretty well.
So watch out.
Those are some really good like micro games for deduction. Also with like the Cunning Folk and stuff like that. Those are all like super like deduction puzzle games that are in a super small cheap package.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we need to actually answer this question of the week this week.
Absolutely.
Hey, Matt, will you read this question since you brought it up?
Submitted 8 weeks ago.
Exactly. So, guys, feel free to email us some questions. We will make sure we make time to answer them. You can email us questions at epicgamingnight@gmail.com or hit us up on any social media and tell us you have a question for the podcast, and we will make sure to read it on air and answer you there.
Yeah. And if for any reason we don't get to it, we might accumulate enough of a backlog to just do a podcast of questions at some point. But hopefully that doesn't happen and we start answering questions. But this email from Naveed says, what tabletop games do your girlfriends and wives like to play? And me personally, I'm alone, so...
don't say that. That's so sad.
But no, I don't...
I'm going to go get my gun and shoot myself right now, Matt. That was like so horrible. Well,
no,
I can't answer this because I'm alone. So.
That's why I've been stalling. I've been trying to help you out, Matt.
Oh, man.
I wasn't going to answer this question until you had a girlfriend.
And, yes, you were the one that wanted to answer this question. Was that whole thing a setup for just that? Thank you, Naveed, for reminding me that I'm alone and my beard is now 10 inches plus long.
No, I mean, I can extrapolate the question a little bit and answer in the terms of what do my friends who were girls like to play? Not necessarily girlfriend per se, but but honestly, a lot of that is pretty much just social deduction games or micro games. Mm-hmm. Like with my other groups of friends, we play a lot of like Cards Against Humanity and stuff like that. So I'm trying to slowly bring other things in that are a little less kind of I don't know, just slow like that. So I ended up buying a copy of Rhino Hero, so I'm going to try to take that over. I know it's
everybody needs to do that.
It's technically not my first game since I own Cards Against Humanity, but
Matt, have you started a collection?
Well, hang on, I've got this thing here, which is like really big, like really really big.
Yeah.
Avert your eyes.
It's pretty huge. It's like a sensor bar. It's amazing. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm slowly but surely. I'll probably start off with like a bunch of micro games that I can take anywhere, and then
there's so many that are good and extremely cheap. Like I'm pretty sure you go on Cool Stuff and get tons of little bitty games.
Love Letter's like what, $10? I got my Batman one for like $11, and it was only that much more because it was Batman and it was new.
Yeah,
real cheap, a lot of fun.
I was gonna say like Rhino Hero was like 15 or something. And
yeah,
I was like,
it's amazing.
That's perfectly fun.
For me, my wife loves Marvel Legendary. She really is into all like the comic book characters, and she likes cooperative games a lot. So the fact that Marvel Legendary is a cooperative game where you're all working together in this deck building environment to do these little combos and stuff, she likes that a ton. They really like Flashpoint Fire Rescue. That's been a lot of fun. We've played a lot of like regular Werewolf at like some social gatherings. Like we had a work party for her work, and we played Werewolf, and they always had a lot of fun doing that. But yeah, she likes any of that stuff. But for party games, Dixit and Telestrations, she's a huge fan of. I was telling her that Ryan kept saying that he wanted to play Telestrations while we were playing Mansions of Madness, and she's like, "You're not allowed to play Telestrations without me." I'm like, "Come on, let's do it. Let's play some Telestrations."
That'd be a lot of fun to play with her.
So yeah, those games, the whole list, cooperative games and party games.
My wife is a big party game fan, but my wife and I, we also host a lot of parties, and not necessarily parties, but just like get-togethers. And so she loves Cash and Guns. She really likes Dixit. She really likes Spyfall. We played that several times now. Cranium is another big one. She likes Mad Gab. If you guys have ever played Mad Gab, that's one of her favorite games. She also really loves Monopoly. She loves games with negotiating because she is hardcore. She'll just kill you. Like she's mean at Monopoly. And she really likes to play it, but like she hurts my feelings. Like when I go to bed sad whenever we play Monopoly.
Do you need marital counseling after you play Monopoly?
That's like the only game. Co-op games she doesn't like so much because she gets frustrated with people. Like, I don't know, she grew up with smarter people around her, and so she's used to people making good decisions. I grew up in a household where all just
we made stupid decisions. So when people make stupid decisions, I'm a little more patient. Where she's just like, "Why didn't you go left? Now you're going to go right, and you're going to die, and we're going to leave you, and you're going to have to go home. We're all going left. You should have gone left with us." Like, and I love my wife. She's just very black and white. She's very blunt, and so. Anyway, party games, it works for her because you're allowed to be silly, and if you're blunt, she can be blunt, but be silly about it. Like, haha, you really did look stupid. And she's meaning you really did look dumb, but she says it with a smile, so it works out. So party games. Party games is our big ones. And catchphrase. Catchphrase, the one where you pass a little timer around.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we'll play that one for hours. And also card games and dominoes. Man, we play a lot.
That's awesome.
Oh, and Farkle.
You guys actually play dominoes the way dominoes is intended to be played?
Oh yeah, we play all different types of it, and then chicken feed and everything. Her dad worked at a steel factory for like 40 plus years, and every day on lunch, him and his friends played dominoes. So he brought it home to play with his wife and kids, and so she just grew up also playing dominoes as well.
I really want pizza all of a sudden.
Bro, pizza sounds really good.
All this
anyway,
Domino's
shout
talk.
out to that sponsor.
But she likes card games. Like we like to play Hand and Foot a lot, or Rummy, or other games like that. So I don't know. We're a little bit of everything. But serious games, strategy games, that's not really her thing.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Well, that's pretty much been a podcast. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Make sure to check us out on Twitch. We stream the podcast live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's at twitch.tv/Epic Gaming Night. Make sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Epic Gaming Night. And follow, like, subscribe, hit us up on iTunes reviews, and check us out on Facebook as well. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming and checking out the podcast. And we will
and
be
Matt's
back
single.
next
Let's find
week.
Matt a lover. Let's find Matt that companion, that buddy.
He really doesn't discriminate. Like anybody,
no.
He's just down.
Here we go.
Come on, Navid, this is your new mission. So
send all of your requests to fire.
Questions to epicgamingnight@gmail.com. Questions can be, hey Matt, are you interested in this type of person? Matt, are you interested in this? We'll take them all. We'll start an eHarmony profile for Matt.
Great. Here we go. I sincerely hope AJ just submits a message like, "Hey Matt, you want to go see a movie?" Just something really innocuous under a weird email.
Right.
Also,
hey, Matt,
please
you
don't
went to
AJ.
Karate Chops.
Okie doke, guys. Thanks so much for coming out.
Thank you, guys. Or
have a great evening.
Hey.
Talk at you later.
Bye.
Yeah.
Peace.